This is the February 8th meeting for the Sewer and Water Commission. We're meeting remotely as allowed by the governor's March 12th, 20 suspending some of the provisions of the open meeting law. So we'll start. Mary?
Patrick just called. He's having trouble logging in.
Okay.
I'm going to just try to help him.
All right.
All right.
At Glenn's suggestion, we'll start with some of the more read and noted type items. So why don't we go to correspondence number 1, the memorandum from Weston and Sampson regarding the Cedar Crossing capacity study. On page 5 at the very end, it says that based on our review of existing data and calculated hydraulic capacity evaluation, the sewers affected by the proposed connection appear capable of handling the proposed additional flow from the development. Is there anything else that we should be aware of, Bernie?
Well, we actually talked to Weston and Sampson, and they may do some flow metering in some of the areas. That hasn't been taken care of in a few years, I guess, back in history. But other than that, we were not told anything different than what you see in front of you.
Okay. I don't know when the ZBA is planning on closing their hearing, but I assume they're getting close to it. So, okay. Any question from Glenn or?
Just a quick comment. So I'm glad we did this study. I think it's important to find out one way or the other whether this project will have an impact on our sewer system. I did want to ask if we have or will be submitting this for reimbursement from the project developer, because I know that we only did this study because of the 55 Summer Street 40B. So, you know, it'd be my hope that we could get reimbursed, but at the very least, is that the intention? Are we going to request that from the Board of Appeals?
Rick, could you comment?
We can certainly request Glenn as to whether they, the developer is amenable to paying it or not. I don't know, but we can certainly submit, because it's a different consultant than the one that the zoning board is using for peer review. We may run into a little bit of an issue, but given the amount, the dollar value, the developer may be inclined to pay for it. So nonetheless, we will submit it.
And if we could do the same for what Wright Pierce did for us on the water end.
Right, that's a good point. They have not yet completed that. They're currently working on that. I would expect to have something from them within the next couple of weeks on the water system.
All right. Any other questions on that? Being none, let's go to correspondence number 2. This is the regular FY21 revenue numbers that I've been producing every month. I think that if you look at the water, this is at the December, so we're halfway through the fiscal year. At this point, in terms of usage charges, we're looking pretty good on water. But if you look at entrance fees, where we were hoping to get 430,000, and we're like 10% of that.
I'm in.
Oh, Patrick.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Why did it go then and not before?
I don't know. Anyways, Patrick, we just covered the correspondence 1 and 2, or we're in the discussion with correspondence number 2, the revenue numbers.
Okay, yeah.
And
Right.
So anyways, you can see where we stand as of halfway through the year. Water, other than the entrance fees, which we were hoping to have around 430,000. We're only 10% of that, and we're 50% of the way through the fiscal year. The other one that's kind of low is the miscellaneous revenues. If you look at the sewer, there we're not quite halfway to the budgeted amount, but not too far behind. But again, if you look at the new service entrance fees, we're a bit short there also. So we'll see how things go for the rest of the fiscal year. Any questions on that? Okay. Correspondence 3.
Now, how many people are at this meeting? Who's
We
here?
have- Pardon me?
We have 8 participants.
We have the 4 commissioners. John Spillane is not attending, wasn't able to. Mary Timothy. We have Catherine.
I don't see Mr. Hassenjagger here.
He's HP 510. John, you
I
speak
don't
up.
see him. Okay.
Yeah, he's here. Okay, going to correspondence 3, the water pumped. And if you look, you'll see that while we had near normal pumping during May through October, we've reverted back to being roughly 10% under the historical averages. So it'll be interesting to see. I'll expect later this week that I'll have the January numbers for both revenue and the amount of water we've pumped. Any questions on that?
No, I just have one point. So as a commissioner, what does that tell you?
It just tells us that we're liable not to meet our usage charges. But I think in the case of both, at least in water, we lowered the estimated consumption from was like 88 million cubic feet to 73 million cubic feet. So we should be closer anyways. Even though from a revenue standpoint, we're looks like we're slightly ahead, there is fluctuations having looked at it from last year. So it's liable to go down again in the last half of the year. So that's the reason I've been capturing that number, Rick, is just so that it's sort of a leading indicator of what we can expect.
Yeah, no, I just, if you look at like outdoor water usage, you can tell that water saving devices are definitely having an impact
Yeah,
on water usage. And if you look at your irrigation, your so-called irrigation months,
Yep.
that's not necessarily the case, but the 1.28 gallon per flush toilets and the low flow shower aerators are absolutely working.
well, I am keeping track of all the bills that go out and creating a spreadsheet so that we'll be able to know what is the actual consumption that we're billing people for, which it'll be, we use that information to set the estimated consumption for this fiscal year's rates, but we'll have it for both sewer and water when it comes time in June, when we set our rates for next fiscal year. Any other questions? If not, we can go to correspondence number 4. This is projected sewer and water rates. Again, what I did is we were halfway through the year and I just built what the rate spreadsheets would look like. Again, as we get closer to the June timeframe, we'll be able to get a better sense on what's the new entrance fees and how the water consumption's doing. If anybody has any questions on that, 4A and 4B just show what it would look like right now for a water rate and a sewer rate. But again, it's nothing that we should get alarmed at this point, since we've got another 3-4 months of information to adjust things. Anyone have any questions?
Just another point, if I could, Bill, just another point. You need to realistically look at, I know, Bill, you're fully aware of this, and Bernie, and I know Glenn's been involved in some of the discussions, but a realistic, proper rate increase. I know Patrick, Commissioner Fasenello, you like to hold it to 2.5%. And while it's a novel thought, it's at some point in time, it's no longer going to be practical to do that. So just be aware of, what's going on. And just set the rate accordingly and as close to what it should be as possible.
I agree.
And I did have spoken to both Jody and Lisa on this and mentioned that the commission probably would want to use some of the retained earnings. And she had no objection as long as we're not going berserk on that, because it will be, should be less than what we use for this fiscal year. So,
I agree.
okay. Why don't we go back to, since we have
Can I
everybody.
Say something? Can you hear me?
Patrick, yes?
Yeah, at the MWRA meeting, Boston's assessment is going to be low because Boston has the same problem. They're dropping their water usage. But where the MWRA will make up its money is in the suburban cities and towns where they've increased their water. I'm curious, we haven't increased. We should be increasing our water usage because people are working from home and not going.
Yeah.
anywhere.
Well, if you look at correspondence 3, the red column, the red figures are where we were below. And if you look, it did start to pick up in May, June, July, and August, which would reflect, as Rick mentioned, irrigation, but also it's quite possible that, as you say, people were working from home as a result of the virus.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been talking to people about water usage, and many people, much to my chagrin, are using bottled water. I don't know if that makes that much difference, but it might. People don't trust
Possible.
public water supplies. It's not just us. It's
Yeah.
most places. So it's kind of bad that we're going to have to raise our rates to keep the cash flow,
Yeah.
and the people are using less water. That's
Well, if and
Well, as it was stated at the town meeting, when it was questioned about that, and the finance, chairman of the finance committee mentioned, a lot of our costs are fixed costs.
Yeah.
well, the one
So-
variable, as Commissioner Fasenello mentioned, was that if people are in fact using more water, then we're going to bill for more water. So we've estimated at 73 million cubic feet. But if we beat that estimate, then that's going to beef up the retained earnings, so really we need to see what retained earnings looks like. We'll start to bill the water that you mentioned, May, June, July, and August. We've already billed a lot of it and we've received a lot of that revenue. And so if that's going to flow into retained earnings, once we see what that number is, if it's a healthy number, I don't think we have to be too worried about using it. If it's extra money, if we sold extra water, then certainly that's an option to use that to keep the
Well,
cost.
when it comes time we'll do our rate hearing in June, but by then I should have certainly the April information and probably a good idea as to what the consumption is in May. And then you can adjust the estimated consumption for the following year. And so if it's something greater than 73,000, that would result in lowering the rate. If we start to have get an indication of what's going to be constructed during FY22, which would start in July, then we might be able to see that the very conservative entrance fee number is too low. But we won't know that until we get close to setting the rates. So the intent was just to show you where we were, and also the fact that we're taking into consideration what really happens at the first quarter of the fiscal year. We're billing for water using the prior year's rates. So, okay, I want to get to Bernie's status report. We held that up, Pat, waiting for you to arrive. So, Bernie, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as of late, we've had 3 water main breaks, 1 on Countryside Lane and 2 on South Street. The SCADA upgrade is still ongoing. Wooden Current is ironing out issues. We've encountered a few different issues going from the old programming to the new programming in the hardware. And so we've been visited 2 or 3 times weekly, and also remotely by the SCADA engineers trying to get the Delaney plant back up and running smoothly. The grant program, I just want to give you an update. Engineering has received the programming needed to load into the units. Wright Pierce is now configuring the system, and hopefully within the next, I'd say, few days, all the different software and so on and so forth will be available, and Wright Pierce could actually give us the information that we need to start on that program. So we're looking forward to that. I have one new laborer started last month. His name is Kyle Manson. He's working out very well in the crew. We also hired a meter technician, Mark Aptowitz. He'll be concentrating mostly where Richie Fertile did most of the MTUs and meters and so on and so forth. We're also going to send him to backflow prevention school so he can get that training as well. And we also have one other water systems technician that's going to start. I'm sorry, a plant technician that's going to start in 2 weeks. His name is Ryan Glosson. He's got some education behind him, some licenses as well. So we're looking forward to having Ryan on the team as well. The distribution crew continues work on the maintenance, location for different projects, and also snow and ice removal. Wright Pierce has asked for a few last-minute backup requests for the DEP water management permit. They're still reviewing, and there were just some questions on the high-efficiency products and enforcement of such that we actually mentioned the efficiency products that Rick mentioned earlier today. Pre-construction bid for the sandblasting and the painting of the 6 filters was last week. 5 contractors showed up. And the bid opening for that project is February 17th. And Laney McCool and Ali are working on a permanent lagoon solution at the Willis plant in accordance with our administrative order. We're in compliance with everything right now. We have, we've been working on some different ideas, some silt barriers and such, and but we're looking for a more permanent solution. So they'll be looking at the lagoons and so on and so forth, and how we can get that issue taken care of going forward in the future. And that's all I have for you, Mr. Chairman.
I have a question about our water withdrawal permit. Do we have a date as to when it'll go out for public comment?
We don't. Wright Pierce is still working in conjunction with the DEP at this time.
Okay, so no date yet.
No in stone date, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Glenn?
Just a quick question, Bernie, about COVID in your response. I know you have the opportunity to get reimbursed for some COVID-related emergency expenses. I don't imagine there are too many, but do you see anything such as overtime? Are you tracking those emergency expenses for reimbursement?
For COVID, Glenn, pretty much what we're doing for expenses is additional gloves, PPE, and that such. Not really anything for.
Such as, I mean, do you have staff that need to drive in separate trucks, whereas normally they'd be able to use the same truck, but they can't because of COVID, for example?
Well, we do, and we do have enough trucks for the staff. Actually, if the staff has to double up, they definitely wear their PPE and their masks and et cetera. So we haven't really seen too much of an increase in having to expend too much for the COVID-19 virus at this
Okay,
time.
the reason I'm asking, because there is an opportunity to get reimbursed, so I just want to emphasize that, we want to track any COVID-related expenses. I'm sure you already are, but just if there's anything we're missing, we don't want to miss it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for Bernie? Okay, if not, we'll go on to correspondence number 5. This is a request from the planning board for comments on the proposed Lincoln Estates subdivision.
Bill,
Yes,
John Hess, you.
yes, John.
recusing myself on that item 5. I'm one of the so-called 10 former owners of the lot, not of that project, but I did have ownership, part ownership of that lot at one time. So
I did see your name on a few items, so I think that's probably wise to recuse yourself. So I appreciate that. As far as, did we get any comments from Carl? I didn't see anything. It seems like fairly straightforward, but Bernie,
Bill, Carl and I had a discussion. We took a look at the actual subdivision, and the few things that we did see, both of us together, was that at the end of Deerfield Drive, there should be installed a gate. There also should be installed a chlorine and a pressure testing tap. And at the end of a cul-de-sac, there was a possibility of moving a hydrant just because of snow removal. And if you look, it's at the proposed dwelling with 1710 on top of it. But other than that, Carl and I thought that it was very well laid out. They have a cluster of 3 gates. They have their hydrants located. I would say that the fire department would probably be the best person to relocate a hydrant or 2 if they saw. But as of right now, it doesn't appear that there's any issues with this development.
okay, and I see that they are, have a loop, water coming in from Lincoln Road and also at the end of Deerfield Drive. So any,
Yes,
Patrick?
Mr. Chairman, can you
Yes,
hear me?
I can hear you. Patrick?
Hello?
Hello, Pat, go ahead. I can hear that, I see that you're attempting to speak.
It looks like a screen freezes.
Oh, no, but
Okay, all right. There's 2 cul-de-sacs,
yes,
as you can see. By the
Yes.
way, thank you for, are you
Oh, boy.
in 7? Because someday they're gonna need water in that area already. And the other cul-de-sac, it goes into conservation
there is wetlands.
land. It's those 2 lots.
Yeah, at the end of the cul-de-sac that on
The
the,
top lot and the next.
yeah, that's near the
Put a water fountain there.
town line, there's wetlands there, so I don't think anything's
I
going to
know.
be standing there.
I'm talking about a utility easement now.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about anything else. And if we don't put one in, that means we can never have it. But the thing is, conservation property, and especially wetlands, I've seen this. At times they catch on fire. It'd be nice to have, if they ever decide to put a hydrant there, right at the edge, like we did in North Walpole. If you remember that, we put, maybe you weren't on the board then. We put a hydrant right at the edge of the town land. Actually, we're inside the town land a little bit, just to give, in case there was a fire or something, we could have some kind of access there. So I think we should have 2 easements on this. One to the gun club on between lot 8 and 7. And the other one, I couldn't find the lot numbers on my maps, but it's the top one there and the
Yeah.
second one after, and the next one. And they're going into where it says Walpole. Back to you.
Ernie, there are hydrants at the end of the cul-de-sacs, if I remember looking. Isn't that correct?
Yeah,
Go ahead, John.
I'm talking about easements.
Go ahead, Patrick.
No, okay, but, so, okay, just easements. I could see one to the gun club, but I don't see a need that goes for the other one that's basically abutting into Norfolk and the Stop River. But,
Yeah, just because you can't see it, you can't see the future like most people
oh, I can.
can't. It's
Okay.
nice to have it there because it doesn't hurt anybody.
They
All right,
both-
so,
They both have hydrants on the end of the cul-de-sacs, Bill. I don't know if that's close enough to what Patrick's referring to, but That's the way the plan is laid out.
We could request easements at the end of both cul-de-sacs.
Is there a water connection from Daisy?
No, not that I could see.
Why not?
I think that you're there, let's see, from Daisy, we'd be crossing either the, okay. There's a perennial stream that goes into the Stock River.
I got disconnected.
Are you still there?
I'm here now. Hey, here's the thing. Why would anybody not want to put an easement there?
I'm gonna suggest that we put it there, that we request them, Pat. At your suggestion. Rick? You had a question about Daisy?
Yeah, Daisy Drive, I mean,
When I looked at there is a perennial stream and it's
No.
mentioned that goes into the Stock River that crosses between Daisy Drive, and there's like 1, 2, 3 lots that you would be crossing. You think that there's a possibility of something to Daisy Drive?
I think we should request the engineer to at least look at it.
Okay,
Well, the thing is, I'm talking about an easement here.
no, we're,
That's all I'm asking, is that we put an easement there for future. Who
We're
knows
gonna-
what?
If you're gonna request an easement, why wouldn't you put something in it?
gonna
What's the
happen in the
purpose of
future.
taking
But
an
if you
easement
do
and
not
not
have the
using it?
easement, as you know, it's a big problem. Because you don't know what it's going to be used for.
It's a big problem to encumber somebody's lot if it's for an easement you're never gonna use.
Well,
So-
an
My point is this, if you're going to take an easement, you may as well request,
encumbrance, it isn't an encumbrance. It has no bearing on their lot.
yeah, it does.
Going to use it, does it?
Yeah, it does. So my point is this, if you're gonna ask for an easement,
Just
why
the
don't you just,
planning
why don't you just ask for the whole shooting match and go for the water main as well?
may happen. If you don't put it in, you're stuck with never having the opportunity to use it.
No, I understand, but my point again is that if we're gonna take the easement, why not? If we're gonna request an easement, why not request a water line as well?
Why
Makes perfect sense.
is the water line going?
It's kind of gonna connect to the cul-de-sac.
I could
I'm
see,
not suggesting a water line,
No, I'm suggesting a water line.
yeah.
but the thing is, you need, these subdivisions need to have, they can't tie up the town. They have a way that we can, move around when time comes, we need to do it.
Okay, I want to.
We're trying to get somebody to cross a set of railroad tracks in South Walpole, and we're worried about a stream?
Well, there's a number of lots, but I would suggest that we do look into getting a connection to Daisy Drive. The gate at the end of Deerfield, a pressure testing tap. And where did you want that one, Bernie?
Gate valve and a pressure, a chlorinization in a pressure test tap after the gate where they're gonna start their new water main.
All right, well, they're going to start it at off of Lincoln Road and at the end of Deerfield. You want it at both, or?
Nope, just where they're gonna begin with their construction, Bill.
Okay,
Bernie, if I could, what's the purpose of that? Bernie?
Sure.
What's the purpose of that tap?
I'm looking at the end of, it says Deerfield Drive, and it says an existing 8-inch water line, and then they go into the new development. So what I was suggesting is that they have a water gate and a pressure test, so they can go in and start pressure testing what they add to the system, Rick.
Okay, right, I see. That's, you don't have to require that. They have to do that.
Well, all right, well, it just,
They don't need to show that on the plans.
oh, okay, all right, then, my bad.
okay. So I'll make a suggestion that we send a note to the planning board requesting that a gate be added at the end of Deerfield, what is it, Deerfield Drive. If it's required for that pressure testing and chlorine tap thing, then that'll have to be there. So I don't know if we have to address that. And have the engineer look to see if he can connect to the end of Daisy Drive. And the other, I would say having an easement off of the cul-de-sac that is adjacent to the Sportsman's Club in case they were. I don't see a need for an easement going out that's very at the other end because we're very close to the town line as well as the Stop River. But Pat, if you feel real strong, I'll add that we put easements at both, the end of both cul-de-sacs.
What's the concern with the easement at the river? Why don't you find that to be necessary? It's so close to the town line that there'll be little benefit.
And it's wetlands. I mean, the Stop River is a relatively small river, but there's like wetlands on both sides that the end, pretty much the lot at the end of the cul-de-sac is going to back up to a swamp.
Okay. It doesn't sound like there's any downside to requesting.
No, so, okay. So is there anything else that anyone wishes to add to what I propose that we send to the planning board?
I guess my thought would be to maybe request both easements and have them come back to us and say, well, one of these is unnecessary, and then we could reconsider it at that time.
Okay. All right.
Just one other thing, Bill.
Yeah.
That area is pretty well flow deficient, so we should probably request a capacity analysis.
Okay. Mary,
Yes, Bill?
do you have a list of what we want in that memo to the planning board?
From what was just said, Bill?
Yeah.
I'm transcribing and I'm writing it down now. Yes.
Okay, very good then. So, and you can let me see it before we send it off, see if we're missing anything, but,
I can send that tomorrow morning.
okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on the Lincoln Estates?
So this is correspondence between us and the planning board, just to clarify.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Correspondence number 6. John Hassenegger, you're unrecusing yourself?
Yes.
Okay, great. And, okay. Does anyone have any questions on the budget recommendations? We will, I certainly will be attending the FinCom meeting on the 22nd to address the water and sewer budget articles.
Yes.
Okay, hearing none. And correspondence 7 is the sewer recommendations for the budget. Any questions there? Okay, let's move on. And we'll get to the policy review number 1. This is from 43 Oak Street. We already have given them an abatement. My suggestions, if they want to work something out with the collector's office, I've spoken to the collector, Lisa, and they normally work with people to to help them, address any problems they're having paying for their bills. They don't have a formal payment program, but what they suggest is making frequent payments, not waiting for a bill. It has 2 effects. One, it reduces what they owe, and that means less interest. And their objective is to try and make sure that they're have resolved their any amounts that they owe before December, when the property would then go under lien. So I would suggest that that's what we suggest for the 43 Oak Street. Anyone else have any thoughts?
No, I mean, at the last meeting, I had suggested that we cap this particular person and eliminate tiers 3 and 4, and we ended up deciding on tier 4. So, I mean, I'm comfortable with that. I'm still open to the possibility of capping them in just the first 2 tiers. But that's the same thing I said at the last meeting. So it's not what we decided.
Yeah. And in fact, this was the one that we went above and beyond actually getting into the house and identifying the leaking toilet. And so I think that plus an abatement, we've done more than enough on this. So I think what I'll work with Mary is that we can send a note to them suggesting that they work with the collector's office. They have done this in the past for others. Okay. Policy review number 2. This was a person on Emerald Way. I don't see a whole lot of reason to adjust. They had an irrigation, they started irrigating and they used the water.
They did, Bill. All of that water did pass through the irrigation meter.
Yeah, I mean, it's
He was just looking for some consideration.
it's high, but that's what happens when you use
Okay,
water for irrigating.
Pat Fessno, I cannot get anything on the Zoom meeting. It's going in and out. I'm getting about 10% of the video and about 2% of the audio. So I'm having a lot of trouble.
Okay, could you could try the phone number. There's a dial-in number on the meeting invite, if I recall.
There is.
Yeah, maybe
What may
that's,
help also, Patrick, if you turned your video off, that may help with the streaming. It'll take away.
I'm getting music now.
well, we're not getting music, so turn your video off and try dialing in with the phone number that's in the meeting invite.
Either that, or if you just turn your video off and leave
Yeah,
it on, it'll help with the streaming. It'll help.
Less data moving.
I just called you. There was no answer at town hall.
Now, there was in the Zoom link, they have a phone number typically.
That's why I'm not on video, because the laptop that I have a camera on
Okay,
doesn't give good audio, so
yeah,
I
I turned it off.
chose to go on a computer, better audio.
Yeah, this is not work.
Okay. Back to policy review number 2. Anyone see any reason that we should do anything on this bill? I mean, they use the water and they use it for irrigation. They know what they did. Okay, I'll work with Mary to come up with a note to the user. Policy review number 3. Okay, this is another one who started using their irrigation system. I see, Mary, you've recalculated the bill. Do you want to address any comments there?
Yeah, so what happened in this case, Bill, it was, the resident had just started using the irrigation system the very first time this past summer. And we weren't receiving readings from the transmitter. So the bill was based on the irrigation from last summer, which there was.
Patrick's attempting to get in. Okay, so we've already adjusted something. Again, I would suggest that they talk to the, again, I mean, it said here it was the first time that they'd used their irrigation.
And the letter was based on the back of the bill, 14% of the interest.
Right.
So the resident believed the interest charges was going to be $140. In fact, it is not.
Okay. All right. So Mary, we can come up with a note to the customer giving it another explanation. Okay. Correspondence, let's see, that was 3. Number 4. And this is again, a customer got a rather large bill, but they planted bushes in their backyard against they apparently abut up to the Foxborough line train tracks. And they were like surprised that they used lots of water. Again, the thing that I would suggest is that they talk to the collector's office. They'll tell them, how that they can catch up by not waiting till the next water bill, but rather make, weekly, monthly payments. It'll have the effect of reducing any interest. And now they certainly will know that watering those plants uses a lot of water. Okay. Final item is for discussion is discussion number 1. This is a request from the Commonwealth Dance Academy, use of Jarvis Farm. It's in June. One of the things that's struck me is that they want to use a couple of the cabins, and also that they want to do this until 8 o'clock at night. And I'm just questioning, I assume that the cabins will need to be cleaned, having sit idle for who knows how long. And, at 8 o'clock, getting them locked up again.
I think it's a great idea to use Jarvis Farm. I mean, it's sitting there. It's a great piece of property. I think it's awesome that the Commonwealth Dance Academy wants to use it. I think that we could certainly relay a message to them that we want them to clean up after themselves. I do think the rec department provides keys to the people who rent, so that keys will be provided and then returned to the rec department the next day or Monday. So, I mean, I think this could work, and I know it's a certain number of vehicles, and Patrick might not be happy about that, but I think it's great that they're using Jarvis Farm, and I would encourage that we approve this.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
With that.
Mr. Chairman? Hello?
Patrick,
Yes?
We can hear you, Patrick.
we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Good. This is a commercial enterprise, and we never envisioned Jarvis Farm as a venue for commercial enterprises. Besides the 150 cars, and besides that we're in a very, very sensitive area, that's why we spend all the money to buy it. What justification do we have for compromising our watershed for somebody who's using it to make money? I don't get how much are they paying the town, or are they paying the commission any money for this particular thing? Does anybody know that?
Bill, I can't hear you.
Hello?
Hi, I can hear you, Pat, but Bill, for some reason you weren't muted, but I couldn't hear you.
I'm saying,
Bill,
is there any, are they paying any money for this commercial enterprise?
Doesn't appear that they are.
No, I would say they're not paying any money.
So what possible benefit is it to the town or to this commission to have these people there?
Well, other than the fact that it's a local business that's clearly struggling and they can't do anything indoors, and they can't
Well,
have.
they could use Adams Farm. They
Right,
could use Bird Park.
right.
They could use the new fields across from the prison. That
Right.
actually has lights. I mean, why are they going to Jarvis Farm?
Well, I think it's because they have some cabins for costumes changes. One of the things that, Pat, you bring up a good point. It's a commercial thing. That's one thing when we've got the Boy Scouts or some fundraising thing. If somebody wanted to have a wedding and have wedding pictures taken, which, some people have used Adams Farm for something like that, I think the town does charge something. Mary, maybe you could look into that and,
For about that.
yeah, so
Well,
go ahead, Pat.
go ahead. What I'm thinking is if we're going to do commercial enterprises, we should charge them money for every car they bring in there. And then we use that money to pave a parking lot and make the parking lot environmentally safe for the watershed. I mean, you know, if they're going to put 150 cars, even if we charge them $2 a car, it would still be $300 that we could use as a fund, since the town doesn't seem to want to help us pay for the environmentally safe parking spot. We might have to do it ourselves, and that could be a way to make some funds for that.
All right,
Back to you.
Mary's going to look into what the town charges for other venues. And I think it's a good point that you've made, that this is a commercial activity, which I believe the town does charge for other properties of the town. So certainly we wouldn't be, you know, breaking new ground.
Yeah, Adams
And
Farm,
that should go, yeah, that should go to a special fund for the Jarvis Farm only.
Well, we could, let's see that we can, how we could do this, and certainly it would be a good idea if it's a property that the water department is responsible for, that the funds go somehow to us. So, John Hatzenjäger, did you have a,
Yeah, I did, Bill. I mean,
okay,
basically, I think what we're missing here is that we're not giving these applications out. The Walpole Recreation Department is giving out applications and recommending this venue to people for the different functions. So I think what we need to understand is what the rec department is doing. Are they charging people, and how are they promoting it, and what parameters they're using far as number of cars and how much obtrusiveness or unobtrusiveness a particular venue is. I think somebody else is making all these decisions, not us. And maybe they're collecting money we don't even know about it. So I think we need to find out what the rec department's doing.
Glenn has got an application for the use of Jarvis Farm in the past. So maybe you could explain, does the rec department charge anything, or?
no, we would be in charge of setting up a fee structure. And if we go back to the Jarvis Farm Committee, before I was on the commission, I think they were working toward developing a fee structure that the commission never ended up approving. So there are no fees right now for Jarvis Farm, whether it's for nonprofit or commercial. It's completely up to us. I did just quickly look up the Adams Farm fees. So for commercial, it's actually $500 per day if somebody wants to use Adams Farm. So perhaps that's why they're coming to Jarvis Farm, because it's free. As of right now, there is no fee. Whether or not there should be for commercial, I could see something that being worth looking at. If we were a nonprofit, it's no charge at Adams Farm. They don't charge, and I don't think we should either, personally. But Walpole residents, you could have a wedding at Adams Farm for $100. That's what it costs for a wedding. But it is for commercial, it's $500. So I don't know. It's up to our commission if we want to charge a fee, but right now we do not. To answer John's question,
I know that there was
It
some
ties
discussion
into,
on the select board about trying to make sure that the fees that were being charged by various organizations had some sense to them. And right now it doesn't appear that there is, anything that makes it looks normal, that you go to one venue, it's charges one thing, you go to another, it either doesn't, or whatever. So they're requesting in June, so I think we have some time to investigate this, and Mary will do some investigation. You can let Brendan know that we have some questions, because it's a commercial venture that's asking, and but we do have some time to give them a yes or a no. So
Bill,
Yes, John.
one other thought is that essentially some of these depend, again, not just Jarvis Farm, but some of these scenarios, there is required follow-up. Like was mentioned here, someone may have to go in and clean up the bathrooms, clean up the buildings, pick up the trash, sweep out the parking lot, cut the grass, whatever it is. There is some related costs that could be involved in using these facilities. So the notion might be, how does the rec department deal with that? That's one question. They just they require the building maintenance department to go up there and check out the cabins after somebody's used them, or what's the protocol for all that? I think right now we just don't know, and no one's really asked some of these questions, but we probably should try to find out.
Oh, we're going to do that.
Can I also make a suggestion that we invite the applicant to, if we are able to meet again, I think I'd like to find out, maybe they have a particular hardship that they want to make note of, and they're not able to have the dance recital indoors. And so they're looking for something outdoors. Maybe they've had a lot of struggles with COVID this year. And so maybe we have an opportunity to help a Walpole business during COVID, and we might want to consider that too. So I think it might be worth, and we want to address, Patrick and John's concerns as well. So I think it might be worth having them come.
Yeah, I'd like to make it clear. I'm fully in support of the Dance Academy being able to use Jarvis Farm. It's a separate issue from the more longitudinal issue that Patrick raised over time, irrespective of what entity and what activities being conducted there over time, is what the procedures are, what the charges are, and what the parameters of use are. That's totally different than, I support the Dance Academy. I don't know if they have to come in, but I think it would serve us well to have Bernie or have the staff or somebody look into some of these questions and see if we can get some clarity on what's ambiguous and what's structured and it doesn't make sense.
And Mary's going to look at those. So,
Look into that.
okay, Patrick?
Yeah, many meetings ago, I requested that we put up signs saying this is a water resource area or aquifer. People don't even understand what Jarvis Farm is. They think it's a lovely piece of property that can be used for recreation. And that's why it's there. They don't understand that the Sewer and Water Commission bought that. It was not bought with taxpayers' money, okay? And it belongs to the Sewer and Water Commission. And
I thought
that's
that
what
there
it
were,
is.
Patrick, I think there are some signs. I'm trying to think the last time I was there that there was
I didn't see any.
yeah.
I didn't see
The signs were put up within 2 weeks of your request.
That's what I thought that
Where are they?
Way in the back by the back.
There's
cabin.
one in the back and there's one up front.
I did not see those. And what do they say?
something about that it's a
It's a
water.
watershed area, and if you
Yeah.
have concerns, call the police or call the commission. I'll snap a picture of it tomorrow, Patrick, and send it to you.
Yeah, that would be good. I'm
Yeah.
not concerned about, people trespassing, because I think the more people in there, the safer it is. I'm concerned with cars, and I'm concerned with activities that are not compatible with the aquifer.
Yep. If I could, Patrick, with your concern to cars, and I know how much of a pet peeve it is with yours. 2 weeks ago, I was out there with Assistant Town Engineer Chris Johnson, and we've begun the process of attempting to design and/or get a budgetary figure for a paved parking lot. So I believe.
Okay, let me
they're like 75 cars.
let me be privy to some of that information, because I have some ideas myself about, what we could do there.
Yeah, there are a lot of restrictions that we're dealing with particular with the Eversource right away. So I will. I will.
Say that again?
Once I get with Chris, I'll get you the information that we have, and maybe you can come in and sit down with Chris and I and go over the whole thing. The Eversource right away is an issue.
Yeah. I know that you were given very bad information from the DEP about this. And when I called them, they denied they ever said anything like that to you.
Yeah, well,
So-
I have it in writing. So DEP always gives out conflicting information, Patrick.
Okay,
All right. So
Patrick,
we need to hold.
you're going to be involved with Rick and the assistant town engineer.
One other thing, Bill, I think
Yep.
just as a sidebar, the I wouldn't want to inhibit this request so these people are shut out of their date for their planned event. Could we take some kind of a vote that we would approve this use subject to us getting a set of answers to certain activities and fees or whatever? I mean, is there some way we can?
John, I would just suggest that let Mary dig up some information so we get a sense of whether it's appropriate to charge a fee, what's the fees that make sense. And, you know, what their plan is to use it in June. So we do have some time so that maybe for the next meeting, we'd have put this on our agenda so that we could give them an answer, and we could get back to them and just tell them, you know, there's a number of issues that, you know, they've introduced, being the first commercial activity, but that, you know, we in general are looking positively at it, but there are a number of things that we need to work out, so that hopefully we'd be able to get to an answer.
It's commercial or otherwise. I don't believe it's for profit, this dance recital. I don't think they're making money off of it, are they?
No, I'm just saying we could let them know that we're going to give them an approval letter within, you know, a certain date or something, so they're not screwed up in scheduling this thing. That's all. Well, they know we're going to, you know, they're going to hear back from us by the next meeting. We can give them some date or something like that. So,
Yeah, I think that we can do that.
okay.
All right. This is the point where I'd ask John Spillane to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have to take a roll call. Glenn?
Aye.
Patrick?
I can't, what are we voting on?
To adjourn.
Oh, aye.
Okay, John Hassenjäger
Aye.
and Bill Abbott, aye. Okay, the meeting's over. Thank you, everybody, and we'll be talking. Mary, I'll get together with you on some of the things that were discussed at this meeting. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.